A little boy was holding a toy water gun, innocently thinking his father wanted to play a game with him, but in the next second, his father suddenly fired a shot at him. Fortunately, his sister reacted quickly, immediately running to her brother and tackling him to the ground. At that moment, the sister finally understood why their father had brought them to the wilderness. Without looking back, she crawled forward with her brother, only stopping when they reached a safe place. When Doogie cautiously looked ahead, he saw that their father had already set the car on fire and had disappeared without a trace. Doogie told his brother to stay put, then rushed forward and grabbed something at random. The girl only knew that their father had driven them for 3 whole days before bringing them here. Now, all they could do was try to get back to the city as quickly as possible. As night fell, Doogie realized that their supplies were running dangerously low. Because they had left in such a hurry, they hadn't even brought a bottle of water, so the two of them could only huddle together for warmth in the canyon as they slept. Early the next morning, they set out again. In order to get a better sense of where they were, Doogie decided to climb to the top of a mountain, nearly slipping and falling along the way. But when they finally reached the summit, they discovered that there was no sign of the city anywhere around them. The two of them had no idea where they were, and now they could only rely on themselves to get out of there. But their fresh water was already running low, and the last bit they had was found inside a can. In order to replenish their energy, Doogie had no choice but to pour some salt into her hand and let her younger brother eat it. They didn't know how long they had been walking, but the environment around them grew increasingly harsh, with almost no vegetation in sight. At first the boy was curious about everything he saw and kept walking ahead of his sister, but the scorching desert quickly drained the water from his body. While crossing a sand dune, the boy accidentally fell down, and then simply lay there playing with his toys. Watching this, Doogie felt a complicated mix of emotions she couldn't put into words. She had no choice but to pick up the supplies that had fallen to the ground and kept encouraging her younger brother to keep moving forward. After 3 days without water, he lay on the ground, barely alive, and his sister, who was also exhausted, could only carry him on her back, and continue trudging through the desert. They didn't know how much time had passed when, finally, a small patch of green plants appeared ahead. Doogie was stunned for a moment, thinking she was hallucinating. Fortunately, her brother regained his senses in time and walked toward it. To their surprise, there was not only water here, but the trees were also full of red fruit. The thirsty boy plunged into the water and drank greedily. Then he scooped up a red fruit from the water and took a gentle bite. Seeing the flock of parrots in the trees, Doogie was finally sure that the red fruit was not poisonous, so he let his younger brother eat it without worry. The siblings both got into the water, and the exhaustion from days of travel instantly faded away for the most part. After eating and drinking their fill, they lay down and fell asleep. However, after an entire night had passed, the water in the ditch quickly seeped away. Doogie looked sadly at the dried-up ditch, feeling at a loss for what to do. To make matters worse, the two of them had been so focused on drinking water yesterday that they hadn't stored a single drop. The only bottle they had was still filled with muddy water. In order to conserve their strength, Doogie and his brother simply lay motionless on the ground. Under the scorching sun, they lay there, panting heavily. Just then, the boy suddenly saw a figure appear in the distance. The man was holding a long spear, constantly hunting the lizards nearby. At the same time, the native also noticed the siblings, but because of the language barrier, the two had no idea what the black man was saying. Seeing that they remained unresponsive, he had no choice but to turn and leave. The boy immediately realized what was happening and told his sister to ask him for some water. But his sister didn't respond.